that's what I want you to focus on now, that Abraham fully understood that the only way that he could please God, even in the metaphor of what he had been given an assignment to do, he was given an assignment to, or had told that he was the father of many nations. And he had tried, Sarah being considered barren, he had tried to have children, and it just was not possible. And Sarah had decided that she was barren, and so she suggested that he would take her concubine and have children by her. And after he did that, God rejected Ishmael. He said, I said, in Sarah shall thy seed be called. See, God had called Abram to become a father of many nations, and that word many nations is a spiritual nation. Well, Hagar was considered an allegory of the flesh, and no matter how many children he had by her, it was considered children of the flesh and not children of God. And so Abraham found out that he could not please God in the flesh. And so God had given him, now I want to say this, that children in the flesh represent us in the flesh in sin because of Adam. And children that would have been born of Sarah would have been was a metaphor of children of God or children of the Spirit. Hagar represented this world system, and Sarah represented the kingdom of God. And so the only way that Sarah would become pregnant or bear seed is that Abraham he was the problem. He had to become the father of many nations, which represents he had to be delivered from his human side and be translated over to his God side. Now, the breath of life, and I say the God side, the breath of life. And as you all have heard me teach, that all of us have two sides. We have a human being side, and we have the breath of life that God put in the nostrils of Adam, which is considered our God side. And the soul is capable of being hooked up to either side, either our human side and our God side. Now, as I say, I can't bring the scriptures up here so much to you now to show you what I wanted to show you, but God selected the position that our soul would be connected to in the beginning, according to Ephesians 1 and 3, where it says, or 4, where it says, according as he has chosen us in him, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. Now, God made that initial choice of what our soul would be connected to, and it is through what our soul is joined to that determines our value or our worth or our identity before God. And so in the beginning, our firstborn position of our soul was with God. That's why we hear the word reconcile, means reconnected again. So I want you to understand that Abram was in a mess. All that he could get for as children was children of Hagar, which was considered an allegory of us in the flesh and the position of being in sin. All right, not because of what we do wrong, but because of what our soul is joined to. All right, so now I said all that to say this, that Abraham saw that there was no way that he could please God by bringing forth a child of the promise or a child of God, except that he could do it through Sarah. And the only way, as long as he abided as Abram, his children Sarah could not become pregnant. So then the only way that he could bring forth children in the position of Abram was through Hagar, and then God rejected them and said, I said, in Sarah shall thy seed be called. All right. And what he was saying was talking about his seed, God's seed would be called forth through or come forth through Sarah. And all of that was an allegory to show us that the only way that we can bring forth fruit unto God is through our spirit side, the side of us, or the breath of life that lives inside. And therefore, Abraham came to the realization now that the only way that he could become a father of many nations, a spiritual nation, people of God, kingdom of God residents, was that it would have to be done through the substitute sacrificial offering, that he could not move over to his spirit side through good works. He could not, and he tried that, and I'm saying that to say this to all of us today, that we've got an option too. We either going to believe God and the system that he has given us for us to be delivered from the powers of darkness and translated over into the kingdom of his dear son as a son of God, which is only through faith in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now you've got an option, just like Abraham had, or Abram. He either could believe he could get it done through his own self-effort, or he could get it done through the altar that he would, by what God had given him the opportunity to be translated from his human side over to his God side through faith in the death of that substitute sacrificial lamb. And that is all a metaphor of God has given us a way to be delivered from the powers of darkness, which is in our human side, and be translated over to our spirit side one way, and that's through faith in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So now, again, Abram had an option, just like we have an option today, to either try to justify himself or ourselves through good works, or to utilize the killing of the substitute sacrificial lamb that he would kill upon the altar. Or today with us, we can try through good works to try to be justified in the sight of God, or we can utilize the only other system that he has given us to use, which is faith in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now, but be reminded, I want you to go to Romans 3:19. I want you to go there to Romans 3:19. See, a lot of people don't understand what I'm getting ready to share with you. All right, Romans 3:19. Now we know that what things soever the law said, we're talking about the 10 Commandments, the law of God. It said to them who are under the law. Now, it said to those who are under the law. Keep that in mind. Under the law. Let's see here. Let me move this. To them that are under the law. What it's talking about, it's not talking about subject to the law. It's talking about that you are beneath the law of God. You see, the 10 Commandments was a law of the Spirit. Paul said the law is spirit, it is holy, it is just. It is the law that pertains to the sons of God. Now, and so it was a law that was given to human beings. So now when you look at the 10 Commandments, now for a fact, you know that if you're going to take and try to use the 10 Commandments by keeping them or doing them in order to become righteous, then that's proof right there that you see yourself already as unrighteous. In other words, the only way that you would be trying to climb the side of a mountain would be that you see yourself somewhere other than at the top. And so that was the purpose of the Ten Commandments. It was given not to as a tool for you to become righteous in the flesh, but it was given as a tool to show you that you were in sin. If not, why would you be trying to use it to become righteous? All right, but now what it said, it says, now we know that what things soever the law saith, it saith to them who are under the law. In other words, it was a righteous law that was given to unrighteous beings. All right, and look what it says, that every mouth may be stopped. You see, the Ten Commandments was not something that you were supposed to try to keep. It was a law that was prophetic, that we were designed to be able to confess. I will not steal. I will love the Lord thy God with all my heart. That was the purpose of it. But see, Paul said it deceived us and it slew us. You see, because as I say, the Ten Commandments was a law of the Spirit. And what it was really saying is, these are the things that you will do in the position of the Spirit. You will love the Lord thy God with all thy heart. Now you think about it. If you ask people today, name one of the Ten Commandments, very few will say any other one of them but thou shalt not. It won't say thou shalt.